Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Live Transitioning Humanitarians with Viki. Hi, Viki.
Hi, Asel. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're following or watching us or listening to us.
Yes, so the topic that we wanted to talk today, that is answering the question of energy that we don't have to put into transitioning, or that we don't really have the energy to doing the things that way that we want to do, or living the life the way we want to do. At the same time, what is it really, and how we can create more of it so that we don't use it as a way to not go to what we want, right? So that's how we thought we would design this call. And before we dive into the details, Vicky, as I was saying, that let's get a bit clear as to what we mean by energy, or what people mean by energy, and
Yeah,
then we can go to discussing what it is. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a very good question. Already start clarifying what do we mean, and I think maybe I will use an example for that when sometimes I hear clients saying. There is so much I feel I need to do, but I just don't have the energy. I come
Yeah.
back after work, I am depleted, I'm tired. All I can think about is maybe just sit in the couch and
Yeah.
I don't know, watch TV for 1 hour and then go to bed. So what is the physical, but also physical energy, but also mental energy? But
Yeah.
maybe it also means for some people, it may mean a spiritual energy, may mean other energy. But
Yeah.
this is more or less the framework I think we are talking about.
Yeah.
The energy to create the wish that we hope for.
Yes, absolutely. So the way that I'm thinking about is energy can be also interchangeably used with feeling that we have, right? Or we don't have. So maybe we don't have the feeling of motivation or enthusiasm that would get us keep going even if we don't have the strengths, let's say. And other people, I think, use energy as a way of showing strengths, or the physical strength or the mental strength or capacity in that moment to be doing things, right? So basically, energy is understood, I think, by people in different ways, but essentially what we're saying is it's a resource that we have or don't have to be doing the things that we want to, or keep moving forward. So the reason why we thought it's important that we discuss this and demystify the energy is so that we're not vague about this, right? So we're not like, oh, I don't know why and how I don't have this energy, as if our energy level doesn't depend on how we show up in the workplace or in our lives, because it does depend on us. So let's get clear as to where our energy is basically being spent on, and where we don't want to be spending on, but we keep doing that anyway, and how it's not then enough for doing other things that we want to do, right? So let's get into the details of, Vicky, how do you say when, like, your clients come to you and say, I don't have energy,
Mhm.
and how do you work around finding out where the energy is?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the first thing is to clarify what is it that gives you energy, and what is it that
Yeah.
takes away the energy? Because we are very different. We are what gives you energy might not give me energy, and vice versa. There is the difference between people that are introverted, extroverted. There is a difference between activities. Maybe
Yeah.
teamwork gives you a lot of energy, but teamwork might be enjoyable, but still takes away a lot of energy
Yeah.
from me. And at the end of the day, I don't have anything. So it really is a lot about self-knowledge,
Yeah.
knowing what is it that gives you energy and what are the energy drainers. And I do
Mhm.
work quite a lot with clients to identify these 2 points, these
Yes,
two factors.
absolutely. I was also thinking that the one of the best things you can do in your own life as you go and observe how you function every day is, from the, like, first thing in the morning, notice where your energy level is. For some people, when they wake up, they're already feeling tired. So
Yeah,
then the indication is the sleeping pattern may not
yeah,
be good, right? So then we know where the energy is left already before we even started our day.
Yeah.
So that's a good information to know. And then we can say, okay, what are we going to do about the sleeping pattern?
Yeah.
And why we're not sleeping the way that we normally do, right? So is it because of worry, or is it because of some other things that we kept thinking about the whole night and we didn't sleep? Is it something that's one time or recurrent? So you can already start seeing where your energy is in terms of your sleeping and how you wake up. Now, let's say that you're someone who wakes up and well, and you have the full energy, and then you are ready to go to work, and then you see the colleague that you don't like, and your energy is drained already. I used to have this so much, and I'm
Mhm.
ashamed to say this, but I
Mhm.
used to have like lots of judgments about
Mhm.
particular people,
Mhm.
right? And I could see myself already like not wanting to start the work because I have this, this is
Mhm.
again, right? Or I need to be doing this with that person. So you can see that where that energy is already left, thinking about that person, interacting with that person, or feeling particular things about that person. So you can see your energy is spent on that, right? And then, of course, there are other tasks, or maybe you multitask a lot in the workplace, which will take up a lot of energy because our mind is not really designed to be doing lots of different things at the same time. So, therefore, if you keep having this type of day where your day is like a lot of stressful and then calm, it's a bit fluctuating, right? Then obviously your energy will be spent a lot on those high stress level activities.
Yeah.
So then you may need to think about how you regulate your stress level in those activities, knowing that you have those type of tasks, and how do you approach it without stressing out about it a lot, right? So therefore you can see that energy might be spent in ways that either you like it or you don't like it, and you can do a lot of things about the parts that you don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, other thing that is also important to figure out, some very practical and easy ways that you can add or actually deplete energy is knowing whether you're a morning or evening
Yeah.
person. Because you may, if you have the liberty, and we all have some level of liberty and freedom to regulate our schedules, to put things that need to be put. If you're a morning person, so maybe your most productive hours will be in the morning. So maybe those are the times that you schedule your maybe creative, or maybe that's when you need to have meetings, or it depends. So I
Yeah.
remember, for example, for myself, I remember that I would put, and I still until today, I'm a morning person, so I would start if I need to write or if I need to be creative. I
Yeah.
can go to my desk 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, and spend 1.5 hour, 2 hours
Mhm.
writing, creating, and then I have my breakfast. And I
Yeah.
remember also before, when I was working with the aid organization, I would also have, let's say, scheduled all the discussions for the afternoon, because I knew that I would not have a lot of creativity in writing, but I knew I could discuss and think. So these
Yeah.
kinds of this knowledge also is very helpful for you to contribute to creating a life that gives you energy as opposed to taking away. And here I would also like to address maybe the notion that we all need to be leaving work so tired. Well, if we,
Mm.
because most of the things we like or we enjoy give us energy, so
Yeah.
it actually, it's maybe not correct to say that, well, it's normal, I'm so exhausted after work. Actually not. You don't have to be so
Yes.
exhausted after work at all.
Exactly. And I was also like studying more lately about habitual feelings that we tend to have, that we are so addicted to them that we just believe this is how every day is going to be, right? So
Mhm.
tired or exhausted might be one of them because we just like observed maybe several days, and then we concluded that our work or our day is exhausting, and therefore now we have
Mhm.
labeled everything else as, well, this is just how it's going to
Yeah.
be, it's going to be
Yeah.
exhausting, right? So therefore we just even expect things to be exhausting, or expect things to be pressury or stressful, and then we just keep creating what we believe to be true, right? So the self prophecy, in other words. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I think when it comes to energy and how we regulate it and where it's depleted and where it's actually giving us energy, we can also look at the micro and macro levels of um, looking at energy. And micro is, I think, we discussed like the details of how we go around in our day lives, how we're spending it and where we're spending it. But the macro level, I think, might be helpful also to zoom out as to, okay, how the usual trend of our days, right? Is it most of the time exhausting, we believe? Or is
Yeah.
it most of the time energetic? Is it most of the time we feel powerless? Is it most of the time we feel actually powerful or empowered and do the things? And when you start like looking at the macro level, one of the things you may notice, which we have been discussing with one of my clients, is that the reason why she feels this powerless or like draining is because she feels she's not really doing the job she wants to do, like tasks
Yeah.
she wants to do in the work that she likes doing, right? So, for instance, she was saying she rather wants to spend more time on strategic discussions instead of technical parts of the
Mhm.
job where she needs to be fixing things all the time.
Mhm.
And she feels like losing energy because she doesn't really growing in that area where she would like to. Instead, her energy is going to fixing things that she feels others could do it
Yeah.
easily, right? So you can see when you do like zooming out and looking at the macro level, you can also see where the trends are or where it's going. And
Yeah.
then if it's not going the way that you like, then you can ask the main questions of why is it this way, the way that you don't want it, and what you can do yourself to amend it or to find the reasons behind it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, as we are talking about the things that small things, they may appear small,
Yeah,
excuse me, but starting with one thing to know oneself, and also trying
yeah,
to adjust the daily schedule or to a way that functions for you, I think is really important. And sometimes it can be a small thing. Maybe you will attend less meetings. I know this is sometimes difficult, but it may be that you attend only those meetings that are crucial,
yeah,
and not attend meetings in that hour. Or maybe you can watch a recording if it's possible at a later stage, if too many meetings take away a lot of your energy,
yeah.
which I know that for me is definitely the case. So you may want to schedule less meetings, if this is to the extent possible. You can do that. So
Yes.
there are lots of ways that you can really adjust your schedule.
Yes, absolutely. And one last thing that I want to mention, maybe that I have been thinking a lot about in terms of energy is like a perfume or odor that we have
Mhm,
as humans or as our personality, maybe,
mhm,
right? Is the correct term. And I was thinking like if we were to give the energetic description of who we are as people, what would be the description you would give yourself? So I know that at some point in my career, I used to, I think, be very lethargic. This is how I
mhm,
would
mhm.
define my
Yeah.
energetic level. And the way that it would show up is that I would like barely get up from my bed,
Mhm,
like forcing myself to go to work, doing the things because I have to, and then also like drinking lots of coffee and lots of tea as I can sustain myself going through this, and then going home and like just crash on
mhm,
the first thing I find.
mhm.
And this is how I think my energetic level at the time was. And of course, there were many reasons for being in that state, right? But at the same time, now thinking about it, I'm more aware of, oh, there was also the energetic person at like a cell being like very complainy, very, oh my God, this is like why it's happening to me, this kind of energy. And as I have like learned so much about myself, I have realized that I can also steer and decide and like regulate my energy as to me as a person and what type of energy I want to shine or share with others in how in my like relationships, in my work, and all of this. So this might be interesting for you to think about too.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful as you said it. And also other things which we won't have a lot of time to go into, but for example, all that you take in, and that is
Yeah,
food, that is literature, that is TV, or all
yeah,
people you surround yourself with. So all these
yeah,
either give you energy or take away. So you
yeah,
might want to look at those. If you have maybe circle of people around you that are negative, complaining, it's not going to give you energy. So it's important you surround yourself also with people that are positive, that support you, that really see the good in you, and are interested that you succeed, rather than really maybe people that are taking away energy. So lots
yeah.
of these things that can influence your energetic well-being, and
Yes.
energetic state. And the reason, and I hope I can now make a switch now
Yeah.
to really what we are talking about, because if we are talking about transitions, this is something out of, let's say, I don't want to say out of ordinary, but something that is not the status quo. You want to do some change, some important change in your life, and that change requires some energy.
Yeah.
So it's important that we are equipped also with mindset, heart set, but also energy to be able to sustain this change, because it doesn't happen overnight. So that's why I think this is really important.
Yes, absolutely. And in that regard, so if you're someone who keeps saying that I don't have energy to be doing this or thinking about it or making decisions or actually planning the future that you are envisioning for yourself or for your family, right? So in that moment, it might be not only important that you understand where the energy is actually going and draining, but also dedicating time and being in that time and space where you have the energy to think things clearly and with your what is it, the fresh mind or whichever the way you see yourself, right? So it can be in the morning, it can be in the evening, whichever the your personality or your type is. And also I like, for instance, dedicating time at least once per week
Mhm.
if I'm getting ready or if I'm thinking about it, right? Instead of just swirling in this confusion or vague ideas of, oh, maybe or maybe not kind of place, which I feel drains my energy. So that's why I want to be more clear and exact with myself, right? And say, okay, if I'm deciding to transition, what would it look like? How do I want to do this? When do I want to do this? And start answering those questions. And the more clear you get, even if you don't act upon them, but you start getting clear in your own mind, that will actually save energy because clarity and certainty for us energy giving exercises, right? While being vague and in the unknown and confusion will take a lot of our energy. So you need to notice for yourself where you are being clear with yourself, where you are vague. And if you're vague about it, then also maybe asking questions, getting help will be, of course, some of the ways to solve for them.
Yeah, that's very important what you're saying, because I'm also, a lot of clients come to me with the need to clarify, and I think it's
Yeah,
always the coaching is about the need to clarify. And and that's why one of the very good habit is, as you say, once a week. It could be once a week, but I would say probably not less than once a week, to really sit and plan for the week ahead,
yeah,
to give yourself the time, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour, to write down, to put the priority strategies and what you're going to work on. Because if we don't do that, the time will just float, and it will be captured by the thought that is the most, maybe that is comes up as the most urgent, but maybe
yeah,
for us it's not the most important. So I think here we also have to think about, maybe for your employer who you work with, this will pop up. And working in humanitarian sector, there is always some emergency, there is always something but pops up. There is not mostly 1 week where something doesn't pop up as you need to react immediately. But we shouldn't be consumed all our energy with that, because we have our own priority. If your priority is to transition, so make sure you keep some energy, that this is your priority for your week.
Yes, absolutely. So for the transitioning part, so if this is important to me, right, then I would absolutely dedicate time and energy for it, or create energy, whichever the way you want to see it. And I am a big believer that we are in charge of our energy level, and whether it depletes or reinvigorates, it depends on us. Now, how do we do that is depending on how we like design our day, how we spend our emotional energy on this, right? So all of this can be regulated. It's a matter of consciously approaching it and saying, okay, I want to no longer deplete my energy on these XYZ
Mhm.
things. Now, what is your strategy for not dedicating your time and energy on it, and instead where you want to do this elsewhere, right? So you can start regulating, not even in terms of like time of how much you spend, but in terms of the energy level of where you don't want to be depleting your energy. So in that case, I would really look at some of the big emotions that may come up in whatever context, and how do you regulate those emotions. So it can be fear, it can be worry, it can be confusion, it can be overthinking, right? Whatever these type of feelings, or the feeling of powerless, whatever it is. So as soon as you notice where they are, in which context, and what you're going to do with those feelings, will be the most efficient way of
Yeah.
saving or regulating your energy.
Absolutely, yes. And I think for me, that brings us always back to self knowledge, knowing what gives you energy, what takes away, what are the situations, as you say, that create anxiety, that create stress, that is a huge energy burner. What are the emotional states that, and we know that by default, emotional, great emotions consume also a lot of energy. So really, if you have drama, if you happen to have drama every day in your life, that
Yeah,
of course is going to deplete your energy significantly. So really, maybe you will deal with this, so to speak, secondary thing, in order for you to have more energy to create the life you want to create for yourself.
yes. And I like for myself, at least in the morning, think about, okay, I have the clean slate of, let's say, like imaginary 100% energy, and how do I want to spend it, right? And and I really like spending it on purpose, instead of just like keep reacting to things, even though life happens and that's normal, right? Sometimes we do react. But reacting for me comes with more spending energy, because I just feel like it's a caught off guard kind of a way, right? So therefore, when I do things intentionally and purpose, I feel like my energy is spent the way that I want it to spend. But if I just keep reacting to things, then I just keep like draining energy without really realizing it. So therefore, the more intentionally you spend your daily life, I feel like the more you will be knowing where it's going and how it's going and what you can do about it, and basically feel like you are in charge of regulating it, right? So therefore, absolutely try any of the things that we have said. We could have probably talked more about it, but we also don't want to overwhelm you with
Yeah,
a lot more information than is necessary. But I think the main message that we want to convey is that how your energy level is totally up to you to regulate or manage it, and how you manage it is obviously how your experience of your life will be, right? So therefore, if you want to have the experience of energetic and doing the things that you want to, or living the way you want to, then absolutely learning the skill of regulating your energy is very essential.
yeah.
So Vicky,
Yeah, thank
anything?
you, Asal. There is one phrase I would like to
Yeah.
finish myself with. That there is a phrase or sentence that I heard once that was very that influenced me a lot. And this was, I'm not even sure if it was in the context of transition, I guess so, but it was, and I don't really remember who is the author. It's not me, but I will repeat it. The sentence was, "What got you here won't get you there."
Yeah.
It might even be a title of a book, but for me, this was very telling, because there is certain energetic state that got me where I am now.
Yeah.
And let's say if I'm transitioning or before transitioning, I didn't like it. So I need to change also a lot of things and energetic state to get me where I want to go. So I think for me, this was, and maybe it will resonate with some of our listeners, that really we need to look at it differently. We can't, the status quo is not an option if you want to achieve something more for yourself. That's what I would say.
Yes, absolutely. So therefore, you have a lot of options of looking at how is the energetic level of you as a person, right? How is the energetic level of how you're spending your day and your time, and then also the energetic level of how much you're putting into creating what you want on purpose. So you can have look at all of these areas or some of them, start seeing what's happening at macro, micro level and make changes. And that's really what we hope that you will go for. And if you have any questions or you want coaching, absolutely let us know. We would love to do that. In the meantime, thank you so much, Viki. Thank you for this amazing conversation.
Thank you, Asel, and
And
thank you, everyone. And hope to see you next
yeah,
week.
exactly. So we'll see you next week with another question to be answered. Have a good week. Bye.
Good week.